We're at the time of year where there's kind of a lot of radio silence coming out of college football, coming out of the Georgia football program. It's the middle of May. Kirby Smart, we haven't heard from him, right? He's making a lot of public appearances, playing some golf. Good for him. All right, I think he deserves to do that. Made an appearance on Greg McElroy and Cole Kubelik's morning show. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. And of course, what's one of the biggest topics for Georgia over the course of this offseason? It's about the quarterbacks. Why? Because Kirby hasn't officially named anyone as the starting quarterback for the 2025 Georgia Bulldogs. Now, all signs point towards Gunnar Stockton being Georgia's guy when August rolls around, when they've got that, August 30th season opener against Marshall. I expect number 14 to be the guy that trots out there as Georgia quarterback. And I also expect by the first to second week of fall camp for Kirby to eventually name Gunnar as the starter. But look, the truth of the matter is Ryan Puglisi, the redshirt freshman, the guy from up in New England, coming down from Connecticut, he is very talented and expected to be the backup quarterback. What's that saying? Everyone's favorite player on the team is the backup quarterback, right? Well, he made headlines for some of the quotes that he had over the offseason, talking about how he wants to be able to teach the playbook. He wants to know it so well. And obviously, he's really talented. He's got a big arm. That was displayed on G-Day a little bit. He's got what I would consider to be a cannon of an arm, a rifle, a guy who gets the ball out quick. Nonetheless, let's get into what Kirby Smart had to say about his quarterbacks over the last few days and examine, is this really a battle? What happened at G-Day? What do we know? Everything about Georgia's quarterbacks. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post talking about Kirby Smart's comments. You shall wait no longer after I tell you to check out everything in the description of our bio down below. And if you want to see the written version of this and all of our written versions, go to dogpost.com. So, I got 3 quotes for you. The first one is the simplest one, and it's kind of the one you hear from Kirby on a yearly basis whenever there is some sort of quarterback controversy or if there is a quarterback battle, anything like that. This is the verbiage, and this is what he said. For me, it's who plays the best, and it's who gives us the best chance to win. That, at the end of the day, whether it was Jake Fromm or Justin Fields, Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels or Carson Becker, Brock Vandagriff, Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm, that has kind of always been what Kirby has leaned on and gone back to as the reason why the guy that's out there is out there. It's whoever is playing the best in practice, earning the job in practice, and who he believes gives Georgia the best chance to win. So typically, especially recently, that's been the older guy. Carson Beck over Brock Vandagriff. You know, he had a year on him in the program. Carson Beck over Gunnar Stockton this last year. Stetson Bennett ended up winning the job for a few reasons. Jake Fromm ends up beating out Jacob Eason because of injury and then just kind of holds on to it. That didn't really have anything to do with age. And so you've seen different things, but recently, the last couple of cycles, it's been the older guy. And that's one of the signs that points towards Gunnar Stockton, right, is he has more experience in the program. He's entering year 4. He's been through a few springs. Ryan Puglisi is entering year 2. He's going to be a redshirt freshman, and he did not participate. He wasn't able to go in his true freshman spring when he was an early enrollee a year ago. Had a knee, I can't remember exactly what his injury was. It was lower body. I think it was a knee injury that kept him out for the spring. So this past spring was his first spring. He got some first-team reps, but Gunnar Stockton dominated the first-team reps for Georgia, and that showed at G-Day as well, right? And we could talk about that. Let's get into Kirby Smart's second quote, which kind of is online with what I was just talking about. He said, "We've got a young kid," he's referencing Ryan Puglisi, "a young kid coming up that has not had many real reps. He didn't go through spring last year. This is his first real spring. He's coming up. He's getting better." So what did we see at G-Day? What happened at Georgia's spring game? Well, they threw the ball a ton. Gunnar Stockton threw the ball 34 times. Ryan Puglisi ended up throwing the ball 49 times. So obviously one of the goals for them was, let's get Ryan Puglisi some reps. Let's get him better. Let's get him more game action. He rocked with the second team offense for the most part. That's where 46 of his pass attempts came. He had one drive with the first team offense against that first team defense where he actually played really well on that drive. 3 for 3, 52 yards and a touchdown. It was a big drive for him. They flew down the field. It looked easy. So that was an encouraging sign if you're Team Puglisi when it comes to this, or if you just want to know that the backup quarterback's capable. But Gunnar Stockton dominated the first team reps. He only worked with the first team. He was out there a lot, right? The entire first half. Then they gave some other guys some chances, and then Gunnar Stockton comes back in. Most of the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter of that spring game, Gunnar Stockton was rocking with the first team. He ends up with, neither of them had a good completion percentage, and this G-Day was about airing it out, right? It wasn't about running the football. It was about, let's let these quarterbacks and these wide receivers show what they got. Let's test these defensive backs. Well, Gunnar Stockton ends up going 17 for 34, 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He threw a pick, throwing a jump ball to, I believe it was Noah Thomas, in the corner of the end zone. Daniel Harris ends up picking that pass off. Ryan Puglisi, I'm blanking on his interception, but he combined goes 23 for, I'm doing some quick math off the top of my head because I'm adding it up. Puglisi, between the two teams, goes a combined 23 for 49, about 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So not quite as good, not as many yards, and not as good of a completion percentage on what was 15 more attempts, right? So you look at those numbers, and Gunnar Stockton certainly outperformed Ryan Puglisi, certainly looked a little bit more comfortable out there. And, right, he was working with the first team. That's where that age and that experience comes in. And the other part of the age and the experience factor is Ryan Puglisi not only didn't have the spring last year, hasn't taken a real snap, is 2 years younger than Stockton. Stockton has played. He's played a little bit of garbage time. He played in the second half of that Orange Bowl game against Florida State where he aired it out a little bit. And obviously he gets thwarted into the second half of the SEC Championship against Texas, helps them win the SEC Championship, helps spark Georgia's offense. And then he's the starting quarterback. He's got one starter under his belt for that Sugar Bowl loss against Notre Dame where loss didn't really feel like it was on him. Throws the ball about 32, 34 times. Throws a couple of nice deep balls, throws some nice crossers, crossing routes across the middle of the field. Looks pretty poised for the most part. Got rattled a couple times, fumbled it, right, when the left tackle allowed a free rusher to go at him. So it wasn't a perfect game, but Stockton has those experiences, and those are going to take him really, really far. He was a redshirt when Georgia won the national championship, so he was along for the ride on that 15-0 championship season, and he was around for that, and those experiences matter for sure. Now, when I watch these two quarterbacks, whether it be the tidbits that I see at practice, whether it be G-Day, whether it be videos I see on social media, I can fairly confidently say I think Ryan Puglisi is the more talented quarterback. I think he has a better arm, or at least has more arm talent than Gunnar Stockton. I think he could probably make some bigger throws. I think that he can get the ball out quicker and maybe throw at different arm angles. Those things are probably true about Ryan Puglisi. This is, at the end of the day, this conversation, this thing, it's not going to come down to who is the more talented quarterback. Like Kirby Smart said, it's going to come down to who has the better chance, who gives them a better chance to win. And right now it looks like Gunnar Stockton. The other aspect, I think Puglisi's not immobile, but Gunnar Stockton is considered a dual threat, a mobile quarterback, a guy who can make plays with his legs. We've seen that at the Orange Bowl. You saw the SEC Championship game. And he's not afraid to lower the shoulder, which is probably not a great thing. Final quote I'll bring you from Kirby here. It's what we believe is the process of growing kids up and getting them better. And Stockton's been in the program for a while. Now Puglisi's in those same footsteps, and he gets a chance to compete. It's kind of a broken up quote, but that's what he had to say. Look, so he's being honest with the verbiage. Puglisi has an opportunity to compete and try to win this job, but all of these signs have pointed towards, hey, look, Gunnar Stockton's going to be the quarterback. When you point towards what we saw so far this offseason, what we saw in the spring, it's Gunnar. Obviously, the age and the experience, and then the fact that he's gotten to play, and that's happened. And watching during the spring football game, I just thought that Gunnar looked a little bit better. So This is what Kirby Smart has most recently had to say about his quarterbacks. Haven't really heard much out of him or the team. It's the middle of May, right? We got to get through to the middle of July. Pretty much 2 more months before we can start talking to these guys again, start really diving into next season. I think it's going to be a really fun college football season. Gunnar Stockton, probably Georgia's QB1. Not official yet, but in my head, it's kind of official. What do you think about everything Kirby had to say? Comments down below, and appreciate you watching.